Well, I love the world of magic and sorcerers, and to be able to do a contemporary project that way, to me, is really exciting. Nick Cage is developing this project with Todd Garner, and we were fortunate enough to be asked to work with him.
I wanted to explore a more magical realm where I could play a character who had these mystical abilities. And Todd said, well, I've got the perfect movie. Let's do Sorcerer's Apprentice.
I'd like to learn some more.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice. When I first heard those three words, I was thrilled. I thought, wow, that sequence in Fantasia with Mickey Mouse and the brooms and the wizard, making that into a live-action movie, brilliant.
We immediately looked at it and thought, let's figure out a way to make magic feel real. Bring it into a context that people can relate to, and do that in a story set in New York City.
It's impossible not to be inspired by New York City as a magical backdrop. It would be the first place I would imagine if there were such a thing as a Sorcerer War going down.
The fact that we got to make a whole movie here is pretty spectacular. And we're actually driving through Times Square on 6th Avenue. We're actually doing all that stuff.
I got to drive a Ferrari through Times Square. I don't know that I'll ever get to do that ever in my life again. So I'm done. I think I'm going to retire. That's the best thing I've ever done in my life. I can't get better, so I quit.
All right, here we go, guys. And we're rolling.
You know, we've been shooting on the beautiful New York streets. We shot in Washington Square Park. We have a lot of scenes on tops of buildings, and you have the whole city skyline. It looks so beautiful.
There's so much history in the city that you can kind of make the city a character in the movie. That's what we really strove to do, to see how areas of the city can kind of fit into the story.
We have this wonderful scene through the streets of New York in Chinatown.
Big night in Chinatown, baby.
They've not had a major motion picture of this size here for a while. I mean, it took 5 months worth of planning. But between the lanterns, the signs, the confetti, and the people, the one thing you'll know is you're in Chinatown.
Look at that. How's that for production value, hey? It's just like a testament to how authentic the visuals in this movie are. It's absolutely amazing.
2,500 pounds worth of pieces of confetti are on the ground right now. So over a ton.
The reason you got to shoot in Chinatown is because during a festival with 1,000 people, you need 1,000 Chinese people.
So I'm just populating the sidewalk for our dragon parade.
We have about 10 interpreters with us on the street. I would say probably about 10% of the people can speak English out here. So it's a matter of working with the interpreters as much as you can and just doing things over and over, rehearsing.
I'll repeat it in both Cantonese and Mandarin and English, okay?
I'm learning Cantonese as we speak. Tong Sen Li Gua means going again.
We quickly had to have all of our assistant directors and location people learn a lot of Chinese phrases, such as, everyone please stop talking and stand over here, or run away from the scary dragon.
Okay, good. Mark!
Conceptually, it's a little hard because we don't have a dragon, obviously, so we're building all of this action around something that's not there.
The whole sequence with the dragon, there was so much going on. The barbershop, a lot of the walls blow out, so that's on stage.
On action, JV will set the implosion like a domino effect. It'll start with the outside glass, and everything will get pulled in to the first half of the barbershop. Okay, here we go. Effects go hot. 3, 2, 1, action!
They run through a hallway where the walls blow out. That's on stage.
The breakaway wall was one of the biggest, thickest breakaway walls we've ever done. And then we had wall rippers to give the illusion of the dragon ripping through the hallway.
We built the facade of the building because the dragon comes crashing out.
All right, cut it. That's a cut. Good stuff, Hawker. Good job, guys.
It was really a puzzle and what we can do practically on location, what we have to build. That's the exciting part, is figuring it out.
They've created the greatest sets on Earth for us, you know? Size and grandeur and detail of all these things. We've had a bunch of gorgeous sets.
Dave's lab, which he uses for his physics experiments, Naomi based that on 40s or 50s subway turnaround. So this huge, really beautiful room.
New York really does have subterranean spaces, some of which are off limits, but for example, under City Hall, there's an incredibly beautiful subway station that's out of use, and that was partly the design for Dave's.
There's a lot of stuff that's kind of almost unseen New York. So we wanted the sense that there was this whole other reality to New York that as an everyday person going to your job, you just don't notice it, but it's all around you. And our sort of hook into that was the Chrysler Building.
We're here on the 61st floor of the Chrysler Building. One of the things we're doing here tonight is just filming background plates that we can put behind the actors to make it seem as though they're not on stage, they're actually 61 floors up with New York City behind them.
We decided to build the observation deck of the Chrysler Building. It was a challenge because our set is an exact replica of it, every piece of it. So we really take the time and creatively, we want it to be what we say it is.
Thank you. We're gonna put Sam a little touch of reality.
Do tell me this is all a joke.
Sorry, are you lost? Taking Toby around to see all the images of himself and his set as Drake Stone, that was very rewarding because it was pretty funny for him, I think, to see himself exalted in that ridiculously narcissistic way.
That is terrible. That is Leonardo DiCaprio. It's not at all. That's supposed to be Drake Stone. It is Drake Stone, of course. That's Drake Stone. When I walked into my penthouse, I was appalled, as you should be. But it's affected me. I think I'm gonna go home and plaster my own walls with myself. Does that sound weird? I think I'm gonna do it, though. It's nice to have yourself around. Yeah, I look pretty good. No, it's repulsive. It's truly repulsive. And I'm not gonna do it at all.
Vanity.
There was also one really weird mural of him petting a panther and holding a scepter or something while a blonde girl tickles his chin, and that was just, there's a myriad reasons why that painting made me horribly uncomfortable.
That's horrifying. Indeed.
Well, this is the Arcana Cabana. This is the set. This is it. This is the big, filled with amazing things set. It's the kind of place that you want to look at and you want to look away from all at the same time. Around every corner, there's something a little bit more surprising.
We have shrunken heads. I think there's a lot of strange things in here.
One of the main reasons we had to build that extraordinary store, the Arcana Cabana, is not just because we were going to smash the crap out of it, which we were, and people are going to be flying around, and things are going to be set on fire. But we also had to fill it with things we were going to smash and buy and own.
Guys, watch your back coming out.
So you can't go to some store and say, do you mind if we ruin all of your antiques? Not so good.
We had the action sequences kind of choreographed And then we made arrangements for breakaway pieces out of balsa wood, that kind of thing.
We have breakaway glass, and it's just real thin wood, so it's just gonna all come apart in splinters.
Let's get some dust on there and let's shoot.
All right, Kurt, it's all yours.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Holy Jesus. Not to miss a moment, we got a new deal.
We are in total destruction mode. We have a lot of magic occurring here, and in the course of things, we have people flying around and hitting walls and doing actual hand-to-hand combat.
Change my position.
I always have this notion that when you walk onto a movie set, there'll be a couple of nice, easy days. You'll get to sit around, have a couple of cups of coffee, and do some nice, simple little scene. But you walk on the set, they say, great, okay, first shot is you're going to fall off a skyscraper. You know, and you sort of go, what? I went straight into rehearsals for the fight sequence.
Action.
It was great to sort of start really, you know, all systems go.
Horvath gets pulled up into the skylight. We did it with Alfred Molina. He actually got pulled up into it.
3, 2, 1, go.
You all right?
Because the set is so cluttered, I had a lot of concerns about actually being able to fit that action in here, but it worked out great.
They built that great set that feels awesome and ominous and scary, but is practical where you can fit it inside a soundstage. And the stunt guys can rig wires so people fly to the ceiling, all of that stuff. That's their art. That's what they bring to the movie.
I've never seen sets so huge and epic. And
It's not hard to pretend you're in the movie on these sets. They're just absolutely beautiful. People see our movie and get taken away into a New York that they recognize, but also a New York that they've never seen before.
This picture has raised the level for, I think, everybody involved because it's contemporary, it's got magic to it, it's totally unique.
Lighting.
Set.
Ready? And action!
We did a lot of the magic in the camera, which is unusual, because usually you wait for digital effects afterwards. But John wanted to keep it as true as possible.
Action!
In terms of the sorcery effects, you would expect that was just done in post-production, but it was actually there in camera, and we on the set were kind of going like, wow, that's almost finished.
Ready, aim, fight!
It's impossible not to be affected by that when you're right beside it. You know, like it really informs your performance, but it also informs your performance because I'm constantly worried that I'm going to set my shoes on fire. So that's like something that, you know, if you see all the scenes with me and fire, I guarantee you can rest assured all I'm thinking about is, please, this is not how I want to go.
Once you enter, there is no going back.
So I should probably pee first?
You know, the thing we found out is the more real, hard special effects we did, the better it looked. If you're gonna blast somebody with the magic, blast them with air, throw dirt and paper.
My idea of a perfect visual effect is one that starts with a practical effect, i.e. something that could be photographed, a real event. And then goes into something that's amazing, that looks real, but might not be there on the day when we shoot it. And then ends with a practical effect, because then the beginning and end of the shot will be real.
And a lot of the practical that goes with it is like the old school effects, before there was visual effects. Flying stuff on wires and things like that. Like Horvath getting a knife to fly in his hand, I mean, we did that practically, and it gives the actors definitely something that they can react to instead of just sitting there with their hand open and kind of go like that.
the truth out of you.
Awesome. Is that right?
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
That's awesome.
You're cool, Fred Molina.
It'll be a special effects guy with some kind of pole with a piece of wire on it, yanking something out of the frame, you know. It basically boils down to that, you know. A couple of hefty guys on the end of a rope just giving it a good pull so the whole thing works.
And it's really quite fantastic. So, I mean, it's a true combination of collaborative effort of stunts, camera,
Action!
practical effects, you know, the actors, direction, everybody together to really make it go.
Cut! Fantastic. Cut. All right, check the gate on this.
Early on, they talked about how we're going to do this thing and sell this Chrysler Eagle that flies away, which I've known, you know, because I've been in the Chrysler building and I go, you know, that's big. That Eagle's big. Oh, yeah, we know it's big, you know. And, but we need you to build that and we need you to make you move it.
Yeah, this is for the sequence on the Chrysler building when Balthazar and Dave come flying in. It's going to be mostly a CG Eagle, but for all the tight stuff, you know, it's good for the interaction for the actors to have this.
So there's a neck and a giant iron eagle head that turns left and right, and the rest is just a body that we have to jump onto and hang on for dear life. And those are fun days.
It's got hydraulics, it's all motion controlled, it's all repeatable. It's just on a little joystick. You can move the joystick and the head, you know, moves wherever you want it to move. And then we took that and then we put it onto a 6-axis motion base, and so you can get the whole like flying movement of the head and everything.
Oh, this is not happening. This is not happening. This is not happening.
Take it easy, Dave. Deep breaths.
Well, I think it's great because the way it interacts with visual effects, they can give us a move, and we can move exactly the way that they've already animated something, so that when we marry the two together, it's really fluid. You know, it's hard to see where the visual effects and the physical effects meet.
That's it. Step right up.
This is another shot where we're combining the CG Eagle in front of the practical. So this is real, and this is all CG.
There's a few cases where we had to replace the body altogether. You know, of course, when the eagle's flying or, you know, jumping off the train, those were full CG eagles. But, you know, whenever the actor was interacting with the eagle, it was usually a combination of CG and the live action plates.
Hurry! I always love having real actors touch things that are visual effects. Like touch them, actually feel them and grasp them. Just by doing that act, you make it much more real and relatable to the audience.
Hey, whoa, look at that. Hang on. We have car chases in the movie in the grand Jerry Bruckheimer tradition.
We have everything sort of storyboarded and pre-visualized, so there's a template to go on.
Stone's car is here. In reality, you guys have rounded the corner. You slid through the mirror, and he takes off down the street.
What's interesting about this car chase, and something I've never seen before, is through their magic, they create this mirror which turns everything backwards.
I'm telling you, a car chase is hard to figure out when everyone's going the correct direction. When you're in mirror world and the driver's on the other side and the other passenger's on that side and you've got to switch sides, it's very difficult.
The concept is we'll shoot an element of plates looking across the street this way, of Balthazar's car to get morphed in, and we'll look that way at Horvath's car. So at the end of the day, it becomes a little bit of a chase sequence down here with a car that's on the road and a car that's only reflected in the glassware. Ready, and action!
Especially for the mirror world part of the car chase, a very large percentage of that was just completely recreated in the computer. We had to recreate that 4 or 5 block stretch of 7th Avenue and Times Square with computer-generated cars, and computer-generated glass smashing, and computer-generated everything.
We closely looked at the live action footage that we did take and used that as perfect reference for what Times Square looks like, because those shots had to cut back to back.
It's a great scene because we're allowed to let magic extend the action.
A matador, gored by a bull, can take up to 3 days to die. Sounds unpleasant, doesn't it?
This is where the bull comes to life. The bullet's right behind us, and it comes to life, and it gores several cars and flips them in the air and chases Nick Cage down.
Working with John Nelson, we try to do as much physical as we can.
Ready, and action!
We have several cars that are going to get rammed by the bull that implode, so we just suck in the side of the car. And at the same time, we're going to have a car flipper underneath it, and we'll do the implosion and the flip at the same time, so it's like the bull is sticking his head inside the car, crushing it, and then flinging it off his horns.
So for the car flip for the bull, it ended up being a mixture of some shots where we leave the car exactly as it is and we just line the bull up. Other shots, we completely replaced the car because its path didn't work once we had the bull animation in there. And then some shots, we did a combination.
One of the problems that we faced with this shot was that in the previous shots, the bull had hit the beetle and it had its horn stuck into the back of the beetle. So when this was filmed, the back of the beetle remained intact and we needed to destroy that. So we used part of the real car and we used part of a CG car. So what we have here is this half of the car is in fact CG, whereas the rest of the car is in fact the plate car.
Okay, rolling.
Ready? Speed. Okay, walking in with it. Yep.
Also, we cast a 1/8 scale bull front that one of our crew could wear over his shoulder. And it's made of the same material. And there you actually see the light playing off the scale model. So you see how the real metal interacts with the real lighting here.
Wisdom and knowledge brings wealth.
Besides being quite amusing,
rolling,
it was really helpful because it showed the lighting direction, which helped us to match and apply that to our character within the scene.
When the dragon is chasing Dave through Chinatown, yes, it's a combination. Obviously, the dragon itself is completely computer generated. Basically, the art department had already come up with a concept for how the dragon should look.
The dragon will be about this size and look like that when it comes to life. Not as red as that, more of a reptilian browny red.
That was fun. How many dragons do you get to ever design in your life? Did a lot of research and on different types of dragons, what the history is behind them, and then when it came to designing it, then we took those ideas and kind of blended into the concepts.
Real dragon! Real dragon! Oh, no!
That was one sequence where the previs was really helpful because it let everybody really think over at what point it would transform and what would happen to the guys inside it when it did transform.
We're inside the dragon right now. It's kind of hot in here, but we'll manage.
For the parade dragon, we actually had to track and rotomate that, which means somebody actually made it look in 3D exactly like what the cloth is doing, the folds and everything are in the right place. And then from there, we built out all the insides and whatnot so that this transformation happens. So this just shows the different CG elements and is merged with what was shot in the plate with the actors.
We coated it in slime, and we had dripping strands of goop that were dropping down, and we were a little hesitant to show it because we thought, well, maybe this is over the top. And then John Turteltaub loved it.
If we do our job right, 90% of those shots, you'll just go, whoa, you know, that's cool, but that's real, right? You know, the biggest compliment you can get in your business is for someone to come up and see a movie and say, well, what did you do?
I mean, you just got really interesting visual effects. Wonderful stunts. You just love watching because you never know quite what they're going to pull off on the screen.
Fantasia is a classic, one of the great Disney animations ever.
It was my first introduction to Walt Disney animation. I think it may have even been the first movie my parents ever took me to go see. The whole film transported me.
Well, the music is amazing, the animation is amazing, the whole concept of what happens is terrific.
Fantasia is so iconic, and the music, like, that just triggers so many childhood memories for me.
I grew up watching that scene. I won't lie, the chance to get to put my stamp on the most iconic of sequences, The Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia, it's just magical.
We're taking one of the most famous 8 minutes in movie history. And what do? We could either just make a little wink towards it and then move on and not try to compete, or let's go for it. Let's update it.
I think people who know Fantasia will see this scene in the movie, and I hope they're going to be laughing out loud, and at the same time say, hey, they gave a tip of the hat to the source material.
You feel this huge responsibility to not just the current Walt Disney Company, but to Walt Disney himself, not to mess up this extraordinary creation. I mean, you're dealing with Mickey Mouse. You don't mess around with this stuff. I've never done a title scene before, and this scene really is The Sorcerer's Apprentice. And to do it right, though, oh my Lord. Start filming some of this water coming in. It's an undertaking.
We have to create and animate a whole load of props, like mops, brooms, dustpans, brushes, sponges.
When we got into looking at how to do it, the subject of the green guys came up, and I think we all embraced it, quite heavily, because we said, what's the fastest way for them to look like they're real mops, and real mops the way real mops move, and the fastest way, of course, is to have people move them.
And then you come in, right next to the camera. You take a bunch of people, put them in green suits so they'll go away. You hand them a mop and say, make this mop look real. Oh, by the way, lie down in freezing cold water while you're doing it. Again, and again, and again. And by the way, that little green suit, it makes you look really fat. Sorry.
I'll just rip out of this thing. It's gonna be terrible.
It's gonna be cool for these guys, and they'll always be able to say, how was that broom in Sorcerer's Apprentice?
With the visual effects, there's a lot of a practical that goes with it. We made a lot of mechanical brooms and mops and stuff that you can operate from like 4 feet away so that you're not like right on top of it.
Imagine a mop with a hinge at the top and a hinge at the bottom and 2 rigid poles coming off.
It allows us to be far away, and if I were doing it myself here, I'd be right over the action and have to paint more out.
It's kind of like working puppets, where the brooms are actually the characters. So we're kind of sweeping like this, but John also wants us to kind of stand up at attention, using the brooms, like, sorry, we're not doing anything.
So when he comes in, everybody stands at attention. Doink. Uh-oh. Go. Okay. Let's try it.
Here we go.
And then when it all comes back down to it, we start really making it big and having a lot more fun with it.
It's good to have something in there that the director can direct and the actors can respond to. If you can have some real elements in a shot, it's always a good thing.
The stage was flooded with water, the cameras were under the water, and the shadows on the walls were used. We employed the similar shadows as in Disney's original film when you see the actual murder happen on the wall. Through the shadow, but you really never see it actually.
All right, cut.
It might be the most important sequence in the movie, because we're remaking a Disney legacy and transposing it to a live-action film to today's time with today's technology.
The character here is taking a swing at what will eventually be our digital mop. So this is what we filmed on set. And then, so we've added damage to the table so that as the axe swings, it feels like he's really going for it. And after that, we start looking at creating the motion of the character.
There's hundreds of CG objects in that scene, hundreds and hundreds, and a bunch of guys in green suits holding mops and running around. A lot of people think that if you use green, you can just press a button and it disappears, and you see the background through it or something, and that's just not true at all. We use green just because it becomes really obvious what is supposed to be removed. Imagine if you had a shot and you had a guy in a green suit and you wanted to remove the guy. The only way you can do that is if you have the same shot without the guy in the green suit. So you have the stuff that's behind that guy, and then you can use that stuff that's behind to remove the guy in the green suit. You can put it over him, essentially.
We do that piece by piece, brick over where brick would be, sink over sink, water over water, until eventually all we have is the objects that they are holding. Then we can start adding things digitally.
We started layering in all the animated brooms and buckets. There's a broom, there's the blue broom, there's the mops on the railings and the stairs, there's the other mops washing the wall. There's actually a simulated bucket falling down the stairs. Then we added props in the foreground. And then here you have everything put together. The splash elements comped over the real water and over the props.
It's one of the places where you'll see the magic generate characters, not just do things, but generate characters, and that's really pretty fascinating.
The mops were quite key to the Fantasia sequence because they were the prop that really afforded us the ability to have a little bit of fun and sort of express more in the way of character, because we did that by making them walk around in different ways. And here you can see the mop awakens and gets up onto all four legs like a cat stretching, waking up.
Also, the marching brooms, we definitely wanted to reference that. So we have marching mops pushing buckets along. What we do is we take our mop characters and we move them with the real buckets and with the same camera move so that they seem to be pushing the buckets, and as you can see, they're all kind of marching in their respective line.
To squeeze the personality into the short shots was key. I thought a nice touch that John Turteltaub put in there was having these light sockets. That's where the sort of cartoony aspects really come through most in the sequence, but we get away with it because it's so fun.
That was the main thing about the Fantasia sequence, is that it wasn't just brooms moving around by themselves. It wasn't just mops floating around in space. They actually had to come alive and look like they were kind of sentient and had a bit of character and were lighthearted and funny as well.
While the original story was the inspiration to the music written by Paul Dukas, now Paul Dukas's music is the inspiration for our story.
In the part of the movie where we use the Fantasia theme, we've used the original piece of music, but have manipulated it, and we've really just done a kind of nod and a bow to the original music and respected it and used it in, hopefully, a way which the writer would be proud of.
Here we go. Ready, and action! Disperse!
Every day on set, I was like, I'm making history here. These are pretty big shoes to fill. The chance to do a live action thing where mops come alive and beat the crap out of me, that was a huge treat.
Disney and Walt Disney created the animated movie industry. That's a great thing. That's a wonderful legacy. Why not honor it and let's keep doing it?
After working on it for a couple of years now, I love the tone of it. I love the actors, and I've had a blast making this movie.
Slate. And action.
Step 1, clear your mind. Step 2, see the molecules. Step 3, make them shake.
I think, you know, when you do a contemporary story, you want to try to ground it in some form of reality, and that's exactly what we tried to do.
How is magic possible given the knowledge we have of what is possible? It's got to be all grounded and based in science, scientific fact.
So wait, is sorcery science or magic?
Yes and yes. The further you advance with science, the more it appears to be magic. If you showed people Kitty Hawk in 500, they would say it was magic. Well, it's science, but where do you really distinguish?
Yes, I know. I'm vibrating the molecules instead of just moving them around. It's wrong.
You're doing what?
Science has proven us that we are all energy, and at our nucleic, smallest form, we are just vibrating energy. So it stands to reason that if somebody really knew what they were doing, they would be able to tap into that.
Your ring is not a piece of jewelry. It projects the electrical energy of your nervous system into the physical world.
We think of the sorcerer's ring as a transducer. A transducer is a device that can convert one form of electrical energy into another.
Without his ring, a sorcerer is powerless.
And the ring is kind of neat. It's like there is no power in the ring itself. The ring essentially is like a crosshair. It is what allows a sorcerer to focus their energy, their magic, their electricity.
I can do extraordinary things with this cane. When I will it, it lights up, and this sends out energy, and I can send people flying, I can destroy people, buildings, I can knock holes through walls, I think I can make tea with this. It's both a convector oven and a source of terrible power.
I'm confused. Oh, you won't be for long, my boy.
The big guns, as I call them in the movie, would be the plasma bolt. That's when you're really in trouble. He can generate all this electrical power and shoot it in a bolt.
My favorite stuff growing up, and my whole life, has been stuff where guys shoot energy out of their hands. And so I was like, oh, I have to be in this movie. If nothing else, like just to have footage of me shooting energy out of my hands, that was a deal closer for me. Plasma bolts. That's why I'm here. Isn't it awesome? Boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop.
Well, we worked out this gag just to give interactive light. This wire will be gone, this light will be gone, but the light on my face, the light on my hands, all of this will work. And then I'll create in CG, computer graphics, I'll create a plasma ball here with matter being sucked into it.
It was sort of like, how big is it? How flickery is it? How bright is it? How does it move? And then there's sort of the smoke and particles that are emitted by it. Just dialing all those things in to get the right balance was quite tricky. To get something that felt just the right amount of fantastical, but also just about believable. So
I think when you try to do something different, it's really smart to test it a lot. We did a lot of tests with the magic before we made the movie.
You need to find something that the audience sees and thinks, yeah, that is what it would look like, or yeah, that's really cool. So we shot a bunch of tests, seeing what it looks like. When you throw magic, does it move the air? Doesn't it move the air? And I've sometimes made myself the victim of some of this magic.
We want the actors to work off of their physicality. So if they would go down like that, and we hit them with wind, we really have tried to make it so they summon it almost like a conductor to be able to conduct the magic out.
Action.
What's it like acting magic? It's tough. It's harder than you think. Actually, that's not true. I imagine most people would be able to do it. I'm an idiot, and I found it very difficult. So I'm trying to conjure things, and I'm thinking of a way to do it, and I end up looking like I'm doing Tai Chi in a field. You want to do things like Hadoukens, like you've seen in Street Fighter. Like, do a Hadouken, but you've already seen that, and so has everyone else. So you got to try and think of something new. So you end up flailing your arms and hoping that the visual effects dudes can make it look like something magic happened.
We were talking about doing all that sort of stuff, like, you know, a 10-minute discussion on whether your plasma bolt is going to work like this or like this. I kind of think, wait a minute, I'm 56 years old. What am I doing? You know? But it's, you know, we're making movies, and it's part of the magic.
It's actually very funny to watch because when you chuck in all the special effects and stuff, it all makes total sense. But when there's no special effects, they have to act it out. You see, that's funny, I saw Nick and Monica and Jay just like pulling all these moves.
During the battle, I had so much fun to imagine that I had the fire coming out from my hands.
Cut!
What's it like? It's humiliating in a word. One can't think about it too much when one is pretending to conjure things that aren't there.
Cut!
And with Nick, don't think he's not saying the same stuff in between takes. He was, you know, we had a long conversation about how foolish we felt. He said, "Yes, but Jay, I'm a 45-year-old man. You can still get away with looking like a moron."
Dave, perhaps you should just... Jay not only is a brilliant actor, he's a wonderful comedian.
Nothing is happening.
He's great with physical comedy. His body, his mind, and his voice all commit to whatever he's got to do.
I don't know what the point of this. Oh, my bum. Okay, I think there's a little poop. Physical comedy is the reason I got into acting, you know, and so any time that I get the chance to be remotely physical, I will. The training sequence, I get electrocuted a lot and got to throw myself all around the room and flail like crazy. Okay. I did this real cool scene where I'm trying to conjure plasma and it's just not happening, or whatever I can conjure just keeps on nailing me in the face and the balls.
Cut. Just cut. I ran out of things to say.
And we have Nikola Tesla's creation, the Tesla coil, in the movie. The Tesla coil is an invention from Tesla that can harness and create plasma and focus electricity.
The Tesla coil is something that's real in physics. It really exists. And you can go out and buy one and make one, and you can look up on YouTube and see it. So it's something that's real. It's not like you have to say that's magic.
We've got hundreds of feet of footage of real Tesla coils, which we're trying to match to. We're trying to get a procedural way of animating these things using the kind of physical attributes of Tesla bolts. And that basically involves weeks and weeks of R&D, getting our programmers and our 3D artists to try and emulate what happens in the physical world.
Enjoy the show. This movie is definitely a love letter to Nikola Tesla in many ways, you know, and the sort of science and physics that he spent his life working on was a way, essentially, of scientifically or mathematically creating magic.
I was doing some research for the project, and there was a Tesla biography called Tesla, the Modern Sorcerer, and I was like, that's a curious title, and I started reading more and more about Tesla, and I just became interested by how many even contemporary newspaper accounts of the time called him a sorcerer.
Amazing inventor, invented a lot of things to do with transmitting electrical current and those kinds of things. Obviously, the Tesla coil is named after him, but Tesla is basically the way regular human beings using machines do what you could consider in some cases magic. And certainly, if Tesla went back in time 100 years, he would have been a sorcerer.
It just went further into this idea I had that maybe there's this link between the realm of science and the realm of the fantastic that's always existed, but it's only known to a select few.
Everything we do is within the laws of physics. You just don't know all the laws yet.
So Nikola Tesla, he's a misunderstood character. He's probably an overloved character by fanatics and an underappreciated character by mainstream society.
I think we all love him. I think he was a genius, and unfortunately never got the credit that he deserved.
I don't actually know who you are.
Really, you don't recognize me?
Are you in Depeche Mode?
Drake Stone is this magician who is a really interesting contemporary character with his spiked blonde hair and his real attitude.
I'm the premier alt illusionist bad boy. 5 sold-out shows at the Garden, plus pay-per-view on the back end.
Drake Stone was so much fun to do. I fashioned him after a few different over-the-top Las Vegas magicians. He's almost like a rock star of magician set. Collaborating with Toby was wonderful, and he was game for pretty much anything.
It's Mickey Mouse, look.
I tried both jackets on in this one. The one you said was much better.
Cool.
Okay.
You see that? I like to make myself ridiculous, if I can, with something like this. So I wanted one of those terrible beards that if anyone's got one, they should be ashamed of themselves. Unless you're a jazz musician, they should be ashamed of themselves. So I wanted one of those and ridiculous hair.
You look great. You look great. Hair's great.
Awesome.
No, it's perfect. Everything's just great. The roots are great. Everything's great. The beard is great. The whole thing is great. Yeah, well, you know you've got a good actor on your hand when you hand him sequined pump platform 4-inch shoes and he goes, oh, I love it!
I'd like to thank my shoes for giving me such unique pain. I've never known anything like it. They're the most uncomfortable things I've ever worn on my feet. And I've worn clogs, like wooden clogs, you know. I think they're only about 2 inches, 3 inches. They might be 4. They're very tall, ridiculous, stupid shoes that even when girls wear them, you're like, they're ridiculous shoes. Why are you wearing those? And I'm supposedly a dude, and I'm wearing them.
So, you're what passes for a Morganian these days.
It was all just great fun.
I didn't have a chance to give you this before. You're Incantus.
I remember being a bit bigger.
The guidebook for sorcerers is the Incantus, a massive book that not only contains all the spells you need, but also contains the history and the rules of sorcery and magic.
The Incantus is absolutely just cool, gorgeous. And what they created, the detail, the specificity, the artwork within it, yeah, we have the world's most beautiful props.
We should have arcane symbols and calculations.
That thing went through 3 months of having meetings, going through each parchment paper, just aging 1,500 pages.
This here, this is an actual Bible from 17th century. And we're using it as a reference of aging and of the way they bound books then.
There's a lot of real alchemical text in here. There's all kinds of weird diagrams that we came across, and the people who had the responsibility for ultimately compiling this were a group led by Joan Winters, who's a graphic designer. And they found a library in New Haven, part of Yale, where they were able to copy actual texts.
We had calligraphers and graphic people working on the pages and how the pages should look. There's a lot of design involved.
This is the Incantus, the Sorcerer's Handbook. No sorcerer should leave home without it. And I'm a nerd, so it's fascinating stuff. With the tail of a serpent and eyes flaming fire, he rides upon a furious bear. This describing me. I came to work on a furious bear.
The book itself is incredible, and then everybody that's, you know, in the presence of it, and they start turning pages, they think it's a prop, and it's not really a prop. It's like, this is real, you know. You can almost get magic out of this book, you know, and it is magical.
Study it. There will be a quiz later.
Oh, yeah.
Action!
That doll contains the forces of evil! You must keep it safe!
This would be the Grimhold. The greatest evil the world has ever known is contained inside this little babushka doll. Can you believe it?
The Grimhold is really a Russian nesting doll, and within each nest is a different sorcerer. So you have a sorcerer and then a bigger doll with another one, a bigger doll with another one, and...
Whoops, opened it.
The outside layer, who's the last one put in there, is Horvath.
This plays a big, big part in the movie, and there are various versions of it. And it's rather beautiful, I think.
It's just trying to get the painting on the Grimhold right and reflect the character that's in it and the style of the Grimhold that we use. So we put a lot of energy and a lot of time into getting the exact right facial expressions and the right kind of tone for the painting.
Trying to find the right balance of folkloric to recognizable to spooky and all of that was the big challenge. For a while, we had things that looked nothing like this and were a different shape, each layer made out of a different substance.
This would be Sunlock's Grimhold, and it'll start to just break like a cocoon and have the large butterfly walk out. This is the concept for Abigail. Wood catching on fire, and written around here is her confession.
In the end, it seemed best to stick with the Russian doll idea, so they look all very similar.
Each layer of the Grimhold represents that sorcerer, and with each layer we're gonna see with extremely costly visual effects just how they emerge. You think this is easy? This is hard. Movies are hard.
This is some initial move tests for the egg sac that Morgana is born from. The Grimhold turns into this thing in its disgusting gloopy form, rises till it's about 4 or 5 feet high, from which Morgana, in the form of Monica Bellucci, is born.
Destroy that thing. I never want to see it again.
Horvath is our first Grimhold birth, which is a big story point. It's one of, I dare say, the most striking shots in the movie. This little cockroach comes out and you say, oh, it's just a bug. But several more cockroaches come out, and then all of a sudden mounds of cockroaches start building. It's like a moving mosaic.
There are literally hundreds of thousands of these cockroaches that are grossing us out as they form the shape of Horvath and eventually kind of melt into his skin. That was a very challenging effect. This is our match move model of Walter Molina here. In the computer, we have to match exactly what he was doing. And even down to the fur, as you can see from these little spiky bits here. And you can see here all these little rectangles, each one of which represents a bug. They actually all crawl up and sort of fill his shape in and create his shape.
The character does have an amazing entrance. It's one of those moments where the audience will kind of go, oh, you know, wow, you know, because it is quite exciting.
This Grimhold, we certainly worked on it a long time. You know, it's really a work of art.
This car's been impounded for like 10 years.
This is low profile?
We were looking for a great classic car, something that you looked at and had mystery and magic to it.
She was there. Nick has this wonderful Rolls-Royce Phantom.
And Nick offered to let us use his one-of-a-kind 1935 Rolls-Royce. It's the only one ever made. Really, really valuable.
I've never seen people more protective of a prop. Usually you have a car in a movie, it's totaled by the end. It's bad. Everyone who's Nick's car, no one sat on it, no one touched it, no one wanted to ruin it.
Yeah, well, Nick owns the world's coolest car. I'm glad that they made a mock-up of it, because I would feel horribly uncomfortable driving Nick Cage's Rolls-Royce around.
For the faster, more dangerous stunts, they've actually created a replica so that should anything happen, God forbid, the real one doesn't get destroyed.
They chose a late model half-ton Chevy chassis to put underneath this Rolls-Royce so it would be able to stand up to all the rigorous racing around that we were going to be doing with it.
It has a special place in Nick's heart, and it's kind of cool that it's now part of the movie, and, you know, it makes the story behind the car much more enjoyable.
There's these wolves in the film. They chase our characters.
Ah!
Yeah, real wolves. I even had to audition real wolves. How crazy is that?
This is Samson. And we have Bandit over here. Bandit's the alpha male of the pack. Dakota is this big guy right here.
You know what it's like to tell a wolf face to face? I'm sorry, no, but thank you.
You're the only actor in this movie who doesn't hate me yet. Even though the wolves in the movie are portrayed as being mean and chasing Jay down the subway tracks, they're actually really friendly, and they're very social, and they love attention, and they love people. Hi, now you have dots on your face. Is he licking me or tasting me?
Little of both.
A little of both. Oh, look, ferocious, terrifying animals, aren't they?
Those wolves are about as threatening as my cat. No, my cat's more threatening. They just look ridiculous with the reference points on them.
This is what we do in the movie business to make them look like wolves.
The wolves are actually incredibly friendly, so we put the dots in sort of specific points on their face, so then later on our visual effects vendor can use the dots to track in CG wolf face and making them look mean.
You know what? You were probably scary once before you had dots made on your face.
Man-eating wolf? Oh, these ones are terrifying. She smells blood.
It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Look how awake they are.
Okay. And roll, please. Camera. Drop. Eagle. Cut.
Oh, man.
Okay, already asleep. Sound asleep.
These are the most docile and kindest puppies I've ever met. That's amazing.
My goodness, are they beautiful. These are beautiful animals.
Look at those blue eyes. Oh, you're a nice dog.
Yeah. Like everybody, I think it's scary at first, and then you spend a little time with them, and you scratch them behind the ear, and then they sit down, and they lift their paws up and want you to scratch their tummy. You feel a little bit safer.
No!
No way! A true Disney ending. That's sweet.
Okay, hang on, and mark it. We're all set. All right, here we go, and action.
3, 2, 1, go!
I'll show you something else. Ready? Watch this. Kind of hurts.
Check the gate.
Did you see that? Did you see that? Why am I talking like this?
Bravo. Well done.
Go back down. Here we go. Here we go.
These are old man shoes.
Sorry. Excuse me.
I love them.
1, 2, 3, up.
Oh, damn.
1, 2, 3, up.
Up. Yes.
2, 3, up.
Ow.
Smooth, Butler. Smooth.
Look at Oscar, and they say he's just smooth, and you say,
she's okay.
Again, this time look back and just
Don't pick up.
say to him and go.
I can't. He made me laugh.
Come on, Maxie. Get in the mirror.
Wait, I don't know who you are.
You don't recognize me?
No. What? I'm sorry, I don't watch television.
You don't recognize me?
Velvet Goldmine. Edward Scissorhands. I'm Dave. My name is Dave.
Dave. And later in the class, he's going to give us a no doubt dazzling demonstration of conductivity.
Assisting teacher. Conductivity. Dazzle razzles. Fiddle faddle. I bought this. We're in a recession. It's my pizza.
49th rule of sorcery, feed teacher.
580th rule of sorcery. Nah. 700th rule of sorcery. La 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 la. 800th rule of sorcery. I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you son of a.
He is not the one I seek.
How long you will seek? How long you will search? How long you will search? How long? You'll never find him.
And conductivity. So, to illustrate the aforementioned conductivity, what we're gonna do is scorch the outside of this here baseball using an electrical field generated by this puppy here, known as the Tesla coil. Our reaction is increased when we douse the baseball in salt water. Now we just douse it. Here we go. The salt ions in the water act as a conductor. Ow! Let's get it bumping. Science! Let's get it bumping. Let's get it bumping. Get it bumping. But it's not working. It's not. It's supposed to be more,
Bumping?
Dave, perhaps.
So.
All right, everybody, that's it for today. Midterms next week. Don't forget.
What? Don Quixote? I haven't read this in possibly 300 years.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Oh, hello, Dave. Dave, these plans of yours, are they more important than becoming a sorcerer in the balance of good and evil?
Don't you have family or friends?
No and no.
That's kind of sad.
Tragic. Let's go train.
Look, you may not have a life, but I'm really trying to here. And I didn't sign up for all magic all the time. As far as I know, you might just disappear back into an urn for another 10 years. Why is Tank the dog here?
Oh, Tank. Yes, I'm borrowing him.
It's kind of weird. I have an engagement, and if you'll just excuse me.
Dave, this young lady, Rebecca,
Not that she's out of your league, because she's not, you know. But don't you think that she might, I say might, already have other interests?
What are you doing to me? Aren't you supposed to boost my confidence or give me the tools to succeed?
Why do you want to chase the windmills of romance when you can levitate?
Half an hour. Just give me half an hour and I'll meet you at the lab.
Here, take this. I procured it in a Calcutta sauna. It's for your own protection.
Ew. Smells like raisins. What? Really? Really? This is a thing? This is what you're gonna do with your powers?
Okay, a current-carrying wire produces a magnetic field. The field reverses with the current. Oh, the electromagnetic field grows with each turn of the wire.
Uh-huh.
Transducer guy.
Oh, no, it's Andre.
Hey.
Oh, no.
Hey.
Hi.
Album release party. Fidel's tonight, yeah?
I don't think so. I don't really like those things. They're never really about the music, you know?
I'm always about the music. At least I try to be whenever it's possible. Music.
After party list has your name on it, mija. Hit me up on my burner. I'll come pick you up.
Okay.
Burner?
It's his cell phone. He watches a lot of TV, I guess.
Oh, you mean when he's not studying rigorously for hipster 101 exams?
Actually, he's majoring in international studies with a focus on child poverty.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. No, Andre seems real nice and real model-y.
He is a model.
He's actually a model.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. What, sort of like sporting goods or
underwear?
Underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm.
So his abs are real nice or something.
Do you want his phone number?
You're making fun of me. And fair enough. Fair enough. I don't need his phone number. Thank you very much. Hey, Becky, can I show you something? Nothing weird. Hey, nothing too weird, anyway.
Weird is fine.
Balthazar? Oh, no way. Looks like you and I need to have a wee bit of a conversation. All right, fine. Fine. I'll be honest. Life has, it's not being so straightforward for me ever since that day at the Arcana Cabana. I mean, I went through a chronic bedwetting phase, which lasted far longer than it was supposed to. 2 years ago, it was awkward. And girls, don't even get me started about girls. Trust me, you think I'm bad now, you should have seen me before. The point is, I'm ready to move on. Balthazar, I am ready to be a sorcerer. Did you just... Oh, okay. You're, are you just a dog? Am I just talking to a dog?